The thoughts, views, and opinions expressed on the Canna Connect Show belong solely to the individuals and do not reflect those of Canna Connect and its affiliates, sponsors, or partners. Canna Connect does not promote or facilitate any activity that violates state or federal regulations. Everything you hear here is strictly for educational and entertainment purposes. It is not legal advice, it is not financial guidance, and it's definitely not medical direction. Seriously, don't take our word for it. Even if someone on the mic sounds like they know what they're talking about, and they're probably crazy smart too. Regardless of how legit our guests may be, you should always do your own homework, consult with your attorney, and understand the risk you're taking before you do anything when it comes to cannabis. Our intention is to keep it real. If you've got a problem with anything we've said, take us to court.
Welcome back to the Canna Connect Show. Today I am joined by my friend and industry counterpart, Cory Lake. Today we're going to share some exciting news about Cory's business. We're going to talk about insurance in general and what you need in the cannabis industry. We're also going to talk about all the trials and tribulations that have come up in the Minnesota cannabis industry and how Cory's been involved since 2018. Cory's a great guy to contact if you're needing insurance, and he's very knowledgeable in the industry at large. Excited to get into it with you. Thanks for being here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Glad we could do this. And, I've got my Earl Giles shirt on. One thing I have to say about how we ended up just scheduling this was this came up at the bar at Earl Giles, and you had some good news to share. And I said, well, let's bring that good news onto the platform. So, ultimately it's about showing up.
Yeah.
And I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Let's get into it on the Canna Connect Show. Well, welcome back to another episode of the Canna Connect Show. This is our final episode of the day. If you're tuning in live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, make sure to smash that like button, give us a follow. We appreciate the love. We're really working on growing this channel, and we've been working hard at this, and we appreciate everybody who's tuning in. Today I have a very special guest. This is Cory Lake, formerly of Lake Group Insurance, and somebody who's been a part of the industry as long as I can remember, and probably prior to me even entering the space. So, Cory, if folks for some reason don't know you, who are you? What do you do? And let's get into it.
Thank you. So my name is Cory Lake. I am the owner of Lake Group Insurance. We will have an announcement coming up pretty soon. It's exciting and fun. I have been in the cannabis space for a long time, but on the insurance side, I started in 2018.
Okay. And who was one of your first policies that you wrote?
One of my first policies.
One that comes to mind.
I would say one of my most interesting and one of my first policies was North Star Hemp.
Yeah?
Yeah. And they weren't necessarily first, but Ben was the first guy that ever interviewed me for my business. So we met at a coffee shop. He asked me a bunch of questions. We got to know each other. It was a much different transaction than, hey, I need insurance. Send me an application.
At the time, he was coming out of like the NFL industry. He was involved in stadiums and, was coming from a legitimate industry. And how much have you seen his business evolve since that time back in 6-7 years ago?
That guy is unbelievable. I mean, he has been a voice in the industry. He has grown and developed into all sorts of facets.
Yeah.
Hyper focused on health and wellness, which has been amazing, and that hasn't left.
Right.
Which is, something that I think is absolutely amazing. When you can stick to your guns, continue to do something in the face of adversity, which we're all facing adversity right now in every capacity of the industry, which I hope we talk about.
Sure.
Because it's, that's one of those things that I think with the, not to be political, but in the political climate of cannabis specifically, has been very, very fascinating. And to see how people are navigating through that and what they're doing.
Hey everybody, Stephen with Canna Connect, taking a quick minute to shout out today's sponsor, CEE. That is the Center for Energy and Environment. If you're not familiar with CEE, they are your one-stop shop for all lighting rebates. If you are in Xcel Energy territory and you're a micro business, CEE is somebody that you need to talk to. Give Brad a call, give Tony a call, go online, one-stop shop, LED lighting rebates. They'll help take care of up to 60% of the costs associated with your grow and your build-out with the lighting. Really nice people, great people to work with, huge sponsors of Canna Connect, and give them a shout. That's CEE, Center for Energy and Environment. Yeah, I mean, just stay there for a minute, because I think North Star Hemp is a great representation of the evolution within Minnesota. So, back when you were first talking to them, they were growing, primarily just wanting to be hemp farmers. And man, did they sink their teeth into that! Like,
holy bananas!
He lost
the front tooth.
He's got that photo at the shop. But then, you fast forward a couple of years, and it's the State Fair 2022, and they're launching a new product line called You Betcha.
Yep.
And man, to think, the phrase that comes up often in this climate that we are in Minnesota is simpler times. But You Betcha took the market by storm, and a lot of it is the DNA that Ben and the team instills around sales and being a sales-driven organization. And throughout that 2022 to 2024, that hemp low-dose boom that I would say we saw in Minnesota, they were initially out the gate, they were everywhere, from Ninas to gas stations to hemp shops, and so not to talk too much about those operators, but to see a primarily CBD line, Carpe Diem Health and Wellness, to then go You Betcha cannabis products, or
low-dose hemp
gummies, and then beverages. And then now to see, North Star Cannabis or North Star Manufacturing, to see how they are uniquely positioned within one of the tribal organizations to be supporting a leg of a stool, inside of a complicated joint venture. Like, I have to commend Ben, Brock, Neil,
the entire sales team.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Right. There's that photo from Lucky Leaf last year with you and James from Carpe Diem or You Betcha. So for them to be one of your earlier clients, and to still be working with them, I believe.
Absolutely.
Talk about a success story in a market that maybe hasn't seen as much success as we would have hoped to now in year 3 of adult use legalization.
That is so true. And a lot of it's the slow roll, and to watch these, to feel like I've grown up with some of these companies now. I mean, that's been the amazing part, or not.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Right.
It is the amazing part. And I'll even include you in that.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at where you've started and where you're at today with sitting in this studio. I mean, it's unbelievable. And it speaks a lot to the grit and the determination that we've all had to try to get through all of the hurdles that have come at us, and the hurdles that continue to come.
Yeah, the resiliency that is required in order to stay alive. And it's, to some degree, it's a war of attrition.
And conveniently all businesses, but it seems like, when we're in the throes of all of this stuff, it's quite a bit more complicated when you have government issues, when you've got supply issues. In our cases, we've got, we had transport issues. Now we've got testing issues.
Yeah. The latest Dabney article dropped this week in the Star Tribune.
Yeah, I saw that.
Limited amount of quotes compared to some of his other articles. One person that was quoted was, is it Shirtler? I know it's Taylor from Legend.
Mm-hmm.
I struggle to pronounce the last name, but Taylor from Legend is quoted in the article as saying they have a 5-week backlog. I've heard actual reality is 8-week backlogs. And then there's also, are you buying, which I can't fault the testing company.
Nope.
Are you buying a larger package or a smaller package? And that's going to have a level of priority in where your items are adding queue.
Mm-hmm.
And for the products that are sold on reservation versus the products that are produced on reservation, and then sold off reservation, that requires a different type of testing. And I'm not familiar with what's actually happening because I'm not involved in any of those operations. But what we're faced with is a limited supply. Luke was at a store in Northeast Minneapolis last night, and he said they had one vape. And
Did you buy it?
unfortunately, no. And so
Just wipe them out. I'll take that.
I mean, they'll take it, right? The price to pay is still high, and so yeah, we can run down kind of a dead end there as far as like what the reality is now. I do fault the OCM to some degree with rollout because they prioritized, in some ways, maybe they didn't prioritize stores, but they certainly didn't prioritize cultivation when they made the move to delay or stay the lottery. And then all of a sudden that November lottery turned into a March lottery, and then you're not actually getting plants in the ground because you're not licensed in time to have a outdoor grow unless you're a medical operator or a tribal business that's kind of moving at a different pace. And so, yes, things will work out, but to your point, all business is a war of attrition. Like, you're seeing it. You've probably had folks you wrote claims for or wrote policies for, and then ultimately maybe they didn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sad. And that is, talking earlier with Jason Tarasek around the idea of unlimited licenses in Minneapolis for dispensaries. And I often talk about the uptown market because that's where we office out of. And like, is there a need for 8 dispensaries between Hennepin Lake and Lindale? Like,
well, and the question will be, I think, there in that specific topic is how many will be successful at the end of the day. And quite honestly, something I've studied a lot of is retail and retail mechanics. And if you don't want to be the only restaurant in town, because then you're both the best in the world.
Yeah.
You want to be with a group of restaurants. So anytime that, music stores were another great example.
Okay.
We can talk about my retail music career. But if you went to, back in the 2000s, if you went to New York or Los Angeles, it was a strip of music stores. So there were 20 music stores in a row. The entire Sunset Strip was music stores at one point. So you want to be in these groups of people, and then because then you become a destination,
right?
And you get to pick and choose, and then the best store wins. Not necessarily the best store, but everybody needs something different.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day. Absolutely. So can you have 8 stores in a row selling the exact same thing? You absolutely can, and everybody can be successful.
Yeah. If there's an ample supply.
If there's ample supply, sure. And there's not a race to the bottom.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody, not that we want to talk about price fixing or anything like that, but if an eighth is $30 and that's the bottom where everybody can make money, you don't sell it for 28. And if everybody is selling it for 30,
yeah,
it'll be $30 forever.
Right.
And it's okay.
Right.
But as soon as somebody does 28, then somebody does 27. Eventually, we're at a $20 eighth.
Yeah.
And nobody's making money.
And nobody's happy. Well, and the consumer might be happy because, I mean, you look at the Reddit threads and it's like, go to Michigan. It'd be great to actually have a Michigan operator on the show.
I think for, let's say an eighth is $10 in Michigan, but you got to drive 3 hours to get it. Right. For 20 extra dollars, you're going to go next to it. You're going to talk yourself into it. And
more than like
great psychology behind somebody driving for a limited discount. What is the discount that people will drive for? And they use TVs as the example.
Oh, sure.
Will you drive 10 miles for $100?
I think the modern day example in our community, and I know, I grew up in the West Metro, you live in the West Metro, I would say, how far are you willing to drive for Costco gas?
Absolutely.
How long are you willing to wait in line?
Yeah, I'd save 10 cents a gallon
on a Friday to get gas at Costco. And not to say that I'm just picking on the St. Louis Park Costco, but there's Costco's all throughout the country, obviously. So I think from what I've heard, the price at this point, and there aren't enough cultivators online at this point to see, But the ones that are online that are in micros or independents, like they're saying, well, if the tribes are going to sell it at this much, I'm going to sell it at this much because I might as well get as much as I can right now. I've sacrificed so much. And I think that's another thing I want to touch on with you. I brought it up with Jason, but I think you, as an insurance guy, and really your approach to insurance, you're there for people. You're willing
100%.
to have conversations about insurance or not about insurance. But like, what I wanted to get to is like the level of sacrifice that you've seen from everyday people that are wanting to get into this industry. And like, let's talk a little bit about the personalities that you've come across and that you really believe in, and whether they're well capitalized or not. Like, kind of talk about how you've seen these folks get into the market.
Yeah, and I just spoke about this not too long ago, but I think back just a few years and people getting into the low dose hemp space with the idea that they were going to go to adult rec. If I remember right, almost every single person that I spoke to at that point was like, yeah, I'm going to do hemp for a little bit here, and then I'm going to move into adult rec. And the idea will be to show that I have experience, to, be able to have a little bit more of an in to get a license, but they were kind of jockeying for that adult rec space.
Yeah.
And had licenses come out on time or when they were originally supposed to, I think we would have seen a lot of these people switch over immediately to adult rec.
Okay.
But because that didn't happen,
right,
we have a lot of people that have put the last 3-4 years into their hemp business.
Yep.
They have grown the business. They have now a national platform for their product. So it's not just Minnesota. Now it's all over the country. And anytime anybody works that hard at something and then looks at the alternative and goes, okay, well, I've got a lot of unknowns.
Yeah.
It's going to be another massive cash outlay. I have to deal with 280E. All of a sudden it's like, oh, well, it doesn't sound quite as good as maybe as it did originally. And I've already put my heart and soul into this brand.
Sure.
So I want to make that conversion?
But then Mitch McConnell gets his panties in a bunch.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And that has absolutely thrown this industry, especially I see it in Minnesota. We work all over the country, but Minnesota specifically, it's been really, really hard for people to figure out now what am I going to do? And do I want to stay in the cannabis space? It's a knuckleball. It's a knuckleball, and it's a hard industry. And how much more can we take?
Right.
How much more? How many more pivots can I make? How much more? How many more? Basically knives. It's tapped with before I'm like, what? I'm good.
And I think everybody's, whether you're a multi-million-dollar hemp manufacturing business in Minneapolis or you're a upstart brand with 1 or 2 products, like I think everybody is having that internal dialogue around, how do I pivot? What do I do? What are my options?
Do I want to go back to my day? The other thing too is, a lot of people they had these day jobs that they had before hemp. They went all in on hemp. Well, now they've been out of the workforce for 3 years, and the workforce is different now. So what does that look like? Do I want to try to reintegrate myself into society as a employee? Do I want to go back to that 9-to-5 grind? Do I have to go back to that 9-to-5 grind?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden you're stuck with 2 not so great options. And a hope and a dream that hemp stays.
Yeah.
And then how do we deal with that? How do we keep hemp where it's at? Or even with some rules and regulations that get us to a point where, I can maintain and still do what I love doing.
Yeah. And, I think this is a good time, and I understand if the envelope is still sealed, but like the internal dialogue that you've had or the internal conversations that you've had with your family around how long can I continue as an independent insurance agent serving this volatile market. $100 insurance policy, you're not making $50 on that. It doesn't go half to Cory, half to the broker.
No, we get about 10, and that gets split up between a couple of different people.
And,
So at
and
the end of the day,
yeah,
it's I mean, it's been hard, and I can.
this was worn on you as well.
Oh, absolutely. And I would say, and this is the industry across the country, but me specifically, over half of my insurance book is hemp based.
Okay.
And had that law gone through immediately, I would have lost half of my business, or over half of my
The
business
McConnell
at that.
language,
Right.
had it just,
Had it just gone through,
which was on the table with the Miller Amendment, I think.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So the fact that we had a year, and that year with now adult rec coming on has helped me sort of navigate. But had that gone through, it would have been absolutely devastating for me, and I would have had to figure out what I was going to do. What am I going to be when I grow up?
Right.
So I've had those same internal dialogues that everybody else is,
Yeah.
where it's been like, oh, this could be really painful, and I'm going to have to figure this out.
Yeah, I can agree with you. I think as Canna Connect, as someone who primarily deals from a transactional standpoint with ancillary businesses, we've seen since really 2023 when we started to legalize, the market nationally has been on a downturn. I think it peaked at 2021 in recent, in the last, 5-6 years, but um, the national market, that dictates the level of engagement that they're able to have with Canna Connect. I think MJ BizCon is one that is brought up as far as how dead that show was in 2025. And, that's not a show that's supposed to be dead. That's the mecca of cannabis conferences. And so
Right.
there are some potential bright spots in the future for for the cannabis industry at large, whether that be the Attorney General getting Schedule 3 through the system. Although, as we've covered in the past on different podcasts, like the DEA is not very agile when it comes to moving cannabis policy forward. And then the other one that's tough that would significantly change how folks spend their money is the Safer Banking Act and also Schedule 280 or 280E as well. So those two or three different facets of change could be exponentially. It could be exponential improvements for the greater industry. It would certainly help our business. Certainly help, like we talked
Oh,
about
absolutely.
with Jim from Canna, like the ability for the Tier A insurance companies to get into the cannabis policies and things like that.
Yeah, descheduling won't necessarily do that. Safe banking would. And 280E would, I mean, those two kind of go hand in hand. So if those two went, then that would open up the market some more.
Sure.
We won't see the really big guys come in until it's like descheduled. Because anytime there's some, stuff going on, there's not enough. It's too much work.
Juice isn't worth the squeeze.
Yeah, 100%.
Right. I mean, and like one thing that a takeaway from last month when we sat down with Gus from Dutchie is who, Dutchie, obviously national point of sale company to cannabis tech. And Gus has worked in the Missouri market, the Ohio market, Louisiana market. So he's got some good perspective. And he says, look, like even the big MSOs are medium-sized companies at best. They're not Fortune 500 brands. Now, could Schedule 3 allow for the pharmaceutical industry to get involved? Yes, that is a fear that some folks have with respect to the cannabis industry. But I think when, you equate it to like the Hartford Life getting involved with cannabis insurance, for example, like you're not going to see these massive corporations get involved with cannabis until it is fully descheduled. And the odds of that happening, given the last 90 years, is slim to none, right?
Yeah, I mean, we can sure hope.
Yeah.
But the other thing too is that there's always room for everybody. So even when we started getting closer to adult recreational in Minnesota, I saw a lot of the bigger carriers, bigger insurance brokerages get involved.
Sure.
So there was a handful of those out there. They got in and they got out. Did they take some business or did they win some business? Absolutely. But people realize when you get into this business, it's not like opening a shoe store. Not that opening a shoe store isn't complicated.
Sure.
It's just not as complicated as
The
cannabis.
compliance isn't as
There
regulated.
can't, there is, yeah, the compliance isn't there. The expense isn't
Yeah.
there as far as the insurance on the insurance side. I mean, we are still 2 to 3 times more expensive
Wow.
than any other industry that I know of.
So if I wanted to get a certificate of insurance for the home and garden show,
Yeah.
and I'm a landscape company, would my insurance policy be less for a very similar activation?
In that, so if it's just the certificate, the answer is probably a little bit. It's not going to be a lot though. I mean, because we're talking about, certificate of insurance is going to run $250 to $150 to $250.
Sure.
Roughly.
Yeah.
I know that we just looked at something and that Lucky Leaf is actually offering a insurance policy.
Sure.
And that's, I mean, I don't know what we
Better.
found yet, but
Yeah.
it's very competitive and it seems fine. And
Right.
so we'll see some consolidation there.
Yeah.
Which is great.
But what you're talking about is plant touching.
Correct. Yeah.
Stores.
Stores, farming stores, grows, anything that's going to be in that schedule.
We're getting
Schedule 1,
green
Schedule
back.
3 are. Yes, absolutely.
And
And a lot of it too is risk reward. And on the insurance side, and this is like we talked a little bit earlier about the government and the rollout and that sort of stuff. And all of these are decisions that are being made with the best information given. Then a lot of the times there isn't enough information to make those decisions. So you make the best decision you can.
Yeah.
And as much as I would like to fault Minnesota for their rollout,
yeah.
I don't want to be I wouldn't want to be making decisions.
Right.
I don't want to be Eric. I don't want to be in that room. I want to help guide and give advice,
Yeah.
but I don't want to be making those decisions because I don't know that anybody could make the perfect decision.
Right.
Somebody's going to get mad.
Well, and I mean, the way government works is like in the U.S., there's a significant amount of lobbying that takes place.
I mean,
Positioning, it's
I don't want to be
Right.
anywhere near that.
get in front of the decision makers.
But on the insurance side, we're given a bunch of data and information, and we try to predict what's going to happen. So it's a lot of predictive analytics. How many claims have been made over a certain amount of time,
Yeah.
which that dictates your insurance. And, a really easy way to look at this stuff is you look at home and auto insurance. Anybody who has home and auto insurance is going to see that the rates are going up.
Right.
And the only thing you have to do to figure that out is look at the weather over the last month. The amount of car accidents that have happened across the country
Sure.
over the last month
Yeah.
should make you realize that your auto insurance is going to go up.
It's more risky to live.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I hear you. I think that makes sense. But also some things that we've talked about in the past has been like, there also aren't the casualties and fatalities and the like the boogeyman hasn't popped out in the way that some of these policies are written in to protect I want to use the right terminology. So to protect the companies that are
The insured.
Yeah. Right.
Yep, and that's absolutely true. And it's
Still
been
ignorant.
interesting. Yeah, because, the reality is it's like let's use on-premise consumption as the example. There are very few companies that write on-premise consumption. And in that, the premiums are very, very expensive. Why they're so expensive is because there hasn't been any losses. So you've got this combination of things where it's like, well, there hasn't been any losses. Shouldn't the premiums go down? Well, the answer is yes, except the first person that has a loss that makes it to court is going to pay out the policy limit. So it's going to be $1 million deal. And that's the hard part. So the insurance companies need to have enough capital to incur that loss.
Yeah.
And insurance companies are designed to make money.
Yep.
At the end of the day.
Yep.
I mean, they have to pay. When I write a auto policy, it is seen by a minimum of 3 people.
Okay.
So it goes from me to a customer service representative to an insurance company.
Okay.
And even if it's done almost fully digitally,
Yeah.
that still happens. So there's 3 people that touch that policy. generally speaking. For me, it is 3. And every one of those people makes money doing that. So by the time we're done,
Yeah.
and you're asking, they're talking a little bit about how this works, is
Yeah.
there's about 10 to 15% margin that comes out of that. So if it is a $100 a month insurance policy,
Yeah.
we get $10 of that,
Right.
and that's split between 3 people. So at the end of the day, you got to sell a lot of auto policies to make that work. But auto is the number one.
A lot of people drive.
Yeah, a lot of people drive. But now we go into that claim sort of data, and you look at all of the car accidents that are happening all over the place. So insurance is a pool of money that everybody uses to pay for everybody else.
Right. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back on the Canna Connect Show. Hey, everybody, this is Steven from Canna Connect, and I'm just dropping in to share a quick couple updates on official Lucky Leaf After Party at Earl Giles, presented by Canna Connect. We are dropping the Green Standard, a brand new beverage, 25 milligrams CBD, 10 milligrams CBG, 5 milligrams THC, loaded with flavor. You know, we had to run it up with Earl Giles. We're talking apple, lemon, ginger, cucumber, got some pineapple terpenes in there. The party is on February 27th at Earl Giles from 5 to 10. Crafted menu. I'm bringing in the Wagyu connection. We're creating weed and Wagyu. It's something I've been wanting to do for years, and we're bringing it to life thanks to Earl Giles, Lucky Leaf, and the amazing sponsors behind this party. We can't wait to share more with you. Make sure you got your ticket, and if you're a licensed business or you're pre-approved, reach out, send us a DM, and we'll get you on the list. Can't wait to see you there. That's February 27th at Earl Giles. All right, welcome back to the Canna Connect Show. Appreciate you guys sticking with us. And if you just caught that commercial, make sure you check out the Lucky Leaf After Party on February 27th. Official Lucky Leaf After Party at Earl Giles, presented by Canna Connect. Cory's going to be there. The whole squad's going to be there. I'm excited about Lucky Leaf. I was hoping that the market would be further along going into Lucky Leaf. You know, the OCM's been rolling out the list of licensed businesses kind of every 2 weeks. I think the last one dropped as we're recording, like January 21st. I'm sure there will be one dropping this week, but like more than likely it's going to be May, June. There it is again, May, June, before we start to see, you know, a significant improvement. But generally speaking, what are you excited about as we, you know, kind of make our way out of a dismal January and into a slightly warmer February as we're recording today?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just excited to see the industry get off the ground. It's a long time coming for everybody. You know, at the end of the day, a lot of patience, a lot of resilience.
Yeah.
And we're going to finally see the fruits of our labor.
Yeah.
And there was something that I read not too long ago about businesses in general, all business in general. And the last 10%, most people get to that 90% mark. And I feel like that's where we're at. We're at that 90% mark. We have another 10% to go.
Sure.
And we are seeing people that just can't hang on.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that I will tell you that goes back to what we were speaking about earlier, I have new hemp companies coming on board.
Okay.
I have people that are creating new beverages. I have people that are like, you know what? We've been through this. We're going to get through it, and it's going to be okay.
Yeah, there's definitely two trains of thought around the hemp beverage ban or the hemp product ban, the McConnell language. There's, I would say, the more well-capitalized and more experienced folks are, maybe they're not releasing their products, but they're planning to release their products. And it's 2026. Like, you know, I remember when Robert Kaiser from now he's from Earl Giles, but when I knew Robert, he was just starting to get in bed with Earl Giles. Like and this was 22, and we're at Embrace North over in Linden Hills, and he's like, I'm going to start a hemp beverage ban. I'm going to start a hemp beverage line.
It would be awesome.
Don't ban hemp beverages, Robert. But and just like the idea that like you're not late as long as you have a plan.
Yeah.
And yes, not everything is in your control, especially in this industry, but like to see folks come online year after year and find success. Lunar, as an example, like that product is everywhere. That product is relatively new. They're not Trail Magic. They're not the first hemp beverage product to be on shelves at Total Wine or sold in Minneapolis. So like, I think that's something that as you spend more time, and maybe it's industry agnostic, but like you start to realize the more you observe this market that you're not late. You just need to make sure that you have a plan and that you've got a B, C, and D just in case. Tinctures are an example of like, if your whole business was built around tinctures, well, depending on when you got into this, you've had to go through quite a bit of hoops, and the labeling, like that's the death by 1,000 paper cuts, is how the language has changed, and then you're incentivized to buy large rolls of packaging products, packaging inputs, and then the state's changing the labeling rules, so now all of this old packaging is going to have to be thrown away. I know Lipton's dealt with that.
Well, I went and spent an hour with those guys and did stickering.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome.
Wow. Right.
I figured I'd run over there and help for a minute.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's the other thing that I try to do is I try to go and see what's happening with people.
Right.
I personally want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, insurance can be such a benign thing that people just have to deal with at the end of the day. I mean, and it is. I mean, and it's not fun and it's not sexy. And there's a few insurance buyer types out there. One of them is, somebody who understands that they have to have it and they deal with it. Another one is somebody that's been through a claim and has had a wonderful claims experience. Yeah. And it's like, I get it. Right. I had a fire in my home. They made me whole.
Yeah.
It was worth it.
Yeah.
And another one has had a terrible, terrible, terrible claims experience and absolutely thinks that it is the worst thing
It's a racket
ever. And and for them it was.
Right.
My job is to be that liaison. To be that person that helps you go between. The only way I can do that is to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
I have to understand the business. I have to understand the pain points. I have to get involved.
Right.
And be a part of it. And also being a small business owner myself for so many years, I get it. And all I want to do is do the best job that I can in my lane and get you from point A to point B with the least pain possible.
Yeah.
And then help you grow your business. I think something else that people don't understand, both about CPAs, attorneys, and insurance people, is that your success is my success.
Right.
I've done a bunch of like Q&A with insurance agents, successful insurance agents, and you ask them, who is your largest client? The story is always, it's a trucking company, and he started with one truck.
Yeah.
And now he's got 50 or 100 or 150.
Yeah.
Or they started with one store, and he was my buddy in college, and we've grown with him, and we work with the family, and we do all the family stuff. And you want to be, or at least I want to be, embedded in your entire life. We want to help with absolutely everything you have going on. And we want you to feel like you can come to us with anything. And then we want to provide value other than here's your piece of paper.
Yeah.
And your cert.
Right.
And,
Right.
it doesn't have to just be transactional.
It's service. It's a service-based industry, and there's a level of understanding. Like sometimes filling out those insurance input forms
They're
are
terrible.
it's a little scary. It's like, I need to know every little bit about my company in order to qualify for insurance. Well, that makes sense, because if the person who's going to vouch for you, if something goes wrong, doesn't have the right information, then how can they properly assess the risk or the potential?
We got to be able to tell the story at the end of the day. I had this conversation earlier with a gentleman that's got farm property, and he's got a bunch of greenhouses, and he's like, well, I don't know this information.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, then what we're going to do is create a narrative.
Yes.
When did you buy it? Let's find out how old the house is on the property. and we'll start to create it. And through photos and through being out there and through talking to him, we're able to create this story and this narrative where we can call an insurance underwriter
Okay.
and say, hey, this is what we see. We don't know exactly when this stuff is. So it's not like we've got to come up with this exact information. And one other thing I'll throw out there is that, what we do as agents is talk to underwriters, and we're trying to tell a story to another person.
Yes.
And the way we do that is to go, hey, this is what's going on. Here are the photos. Here are the people. Here's the plan.
Yeah.
And the underwriter is going to go, yes, this fits into our risk profile, or no, it does not.
Sure.
And we get that all the time. There are certain companies that will not take on certain clients, and then we just go to a different company. So for us, it's knowing those markets, it's understanding who the players are, what they're interested in, what they're not, and getting you into that right fit.
Right.
Sometimes that can be dealt with on price, and other times it can be dealt with on coverage.
Okay.
We focus on coverage, not price. We're not always going to be the least expensive. However, if you say, I just want the least expensive thing out there, we'll go and do that job for you.
It's interesting that you mention insurance as well as accounting as like storytelling through the lens of storytelling, and like, yes, the recipe is different on how you tell the story for whether it's financial services or insurance services or, accounting services. But like, it's interesting that it all comes back to storytelling.
Yeah.
People buy from humans. Every business is human to human at this point, unless, the robots start taking over.
And now we start to talk about, that's marketing.
And I think of, Betsy Morum as somebody I look up to in the cannabis ancillary space, entrepreneurial for sure. And like, I think about how we're trying to get our books in order as we move from Clean Green Media to Canna Connect Network, and really, have more of a shared platform for the partners involved. And like, it's easy to run a company by yourself and not hold yourself accountable to.
Well, it's hard to. It's hard to hold yourself accountable.
It's hard to.
And it's hard to understand where your shortcomings are.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also hard to admit that stuff to yourself.
Yeah.
One of mine has always been on the money side. I don't want to deal with the money.
Yeah.
Ever.
Right.
Specifically in insurance, because that gets really, crazy.
Okay.
On a lot of levels. There's just a lot of moving parts and a lot of people involved, and you just don't. I don't want to be a part of that. So I've always found people to come and help me with that sort of stuff.
Okay.
So using multiple accountants, and then also passing that off to anybody that understands that world.
Sure. Is there a level of escrow that is involved with insurance?
Not for us.
Okay.
It does exist, but not for us. I mean, at the end of the day, especially in the cannabis space, if we're going to finance something, which we don't do the financing,
right?
If you're going to use a premium finance company, they're going to get 25% down and then create those payments.
Okay.
So it's simple in that sense. However, there's still a lot of hands involved. So the insurance company doesn't take the money. The insurance company goes to a finance company that then goes to the usually the brokerage pays the insurance company, which then the finance. So, Mike, all of a sudden we're in this diagram of stuff that's like, you know what? I'm just going to focus on the insurance.
Yeah.
Let me just do this part and do it really well. And then we'll let you guys take care of that stuff. Even though some insurance companies do actually deal with the money.
Okay. I suppose it depends on the size of the group.
Yeah. Well, and if that's something that you're interested in handling.
Yeah. What are the most common policies that you're offering or selling or providing in 2026?
Well, and this is probably a great time for the announcement. So, Lake Group has been merged. We've merged with the approximately the 15th largest insurance brokerage in the country. They have a large cannabis practice, so this is going to allow us to have a broader offering.
Amazing.
And gives me the ability to have a team of people that now not only get to help me move people from point A to point B, but gives me some additional hands to talk about coverages, to see what's out in the world, and gives the client, it should give the client just more perspective on what we've got going on.
Okay. Wow.
So, yeah, so it's very exciting. It's something that I have been looking forward to for a long time, and after 8 years, it's finally here.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
From a day-to-day perspective, how will it change your life?
Yeah, it doesn't really. It just, I have more people now.
Okay.
So what it allows me to do is pass things off to people so I can be more attentive to my clients.
Sure.
It gives me some more time and space and breath at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And one of the nice things is I work now with people from all over the country. So one of the guys I work with, Sean, is out of Chicago.
Okay.
Another guy, Cory. There's another Cory.
Funny.
Yeah.
Same spelling?
Yeah. Nope.
EY. Good.
He's an EY.
Had a little different.
Yeah. But he's out in New Jersey.
Yeah.
So we get different perspectives from different states, which is amazing. Both of them are legacy guys.
Oh, wow.
There's our department kind of head, I will say, is out in New Jersey as well.
Okay.
So and they work all over the country. So as you were saying, size, what this allows us to do is, now I'm saying we're going from startup to IPO. So we can literally handle any size company there is, which Lake Group couldn't do on its own. I mean, if you were above, say, 5 stores, it became a little too complicated and a little too big for us to deal with effectively.
Yeah.
We could have done it.
Right.
Just doing things effectively and doing things well are different than just doing them.
Yeah.
So I would shy away from anybody, again, above 5 stores. Anybody, not that we could have grown into 5 stores, but if you came in and said, hey, we've got 5 stores, we need all those insured today.
Right.
It would have been hard.
Okay.
And we've got a handful of those, but now we can go after or handle any size company, and we have teams of people that come in, handle different parts of those different things that are going on.
So anybody in the Minnesota cannabis industry at this point is fair game.
100%. I mean, so anybody from where we're at today, which is starting up new low dose hemp companies, which has been my bread and butter.
Yeah.
And now looking at being able to talk to Vario or any of the other large MSOs.
Great. Yeah. Just sent an email to those folks last night, so we'll see what happens.
Just to say hi.
Always. I mean, everyone's invited. All licensees are invited to the Lucky Leap after.
That's right.
We have to bring the community together. I mean, you and I, without naming names and associations, like, we've seen so much divide, and some of it has been through social unrest, through, unfortunately, the timing of the pandemic, as the industry was really just starting to coalesce after the 2019 hemp summit, the Minnesota Hemp Association conference in St. Cloud. You were there?
I was there.
Yeah. I mean, there was serious momentum. The room was full.
Yeah.
A lot of farmers were there. A lot of optimism around a third crop.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously the pandemic slowed things down. The MHA fell apart. There was that awkward time where Captain Brown co-opted it to the Minnesota Cannabis Association, which didn't really get any traction. And we've seen many things since Delta 9 and hemp beverages come online. But I have to give kudos to you, as well as Mormon Waller, as well as Jason Tarasek, for finding ways to merge, or finding ways to get absorbed, and finding ways to feel more support. Because doing it alone it's not sustainable.
No, I'm not. I've been doing a lot of business reading, and one of the most interesting.
Reading. Tell me about that. Is that like picture books?
Yeah. Yes. Well, I haven't, like, actual words is tough for me. So, but one of the things that was said is businesses are growing or shrinking.
Okay.
That's it. There's no, you're either growing or you're shrinking.
Yeah.
And most businesses need to grow to survive.
Sure.
At the end of the day, you constantly need to be growing.
There's no pause button.
There is no pause button, and there is no just like maintaining. At the end of the day, if you're just maintaining and you're not growing, you're probably dying
Yeah.
because somebody else is growing.
Yeah.
So
Because the market is ever moving.
the market is ever moving. So you constantly need to grow. So this is just a normal evolution in what I've been trying to accomplish for a long time and needed at the time that it came.
Sure.
So I wasn't looking for it.
Okay.
And I received a phone call and they're like, hey, we're looking for somebody in Minnesota.
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, the timing is good.
Great.
Let's do this.
Great.
So started onboarding in late December.
Okay.
And it's been, we're moving forward.
Sure.
So it's been
Absolutely. I know one question people have is like, so are you just renting out the mezzanine floor?
Oh yeah.
Is it just Canna Club? And it's like, no, we are building on the success from the St. Paul Brewing, which we were not in a big enough space and the venue wasn't great. And, St. Paul is going to St. Paul, there's not a ton of cannabis friendly venues over on that side of town. But, for us, we said, we're going to find a venue partner that is willing to row with us and not just provide a contract and a temporary lease. Okay. You can't move the tables. You can't move the chairs. If you want to bring in food, it's going to be exorbitant. And so we're really customizing our offering and doing a full takeover of the Lucky Leaf after party or of the Earl Giles restaurant.
Who has been probably one of the most incredible partners in this industry. I mean, Hook and Ladder, Earl Giles, really unbelievable in what they have been able to do and allowed to do.
Yeah, they're so unique.
Amazing.
I'm looking forward to it. And like I said before, we'll be live streaming from Lucky Leaf. So we'll see you back on the show in a few weeks. For everybody who's still watching, we appreciate your viewership. We appreciate your subscribership. Make sure to follow and, tell a friend about the Canna Connect Show. We're doing our best to keep the industry updated on a weekly basis. New episodes every Tuesday, new podcasts every Sunday, Cannaverse newsletter on Wednesdays. Thanks for watching, and thanks to everybody who's a part of the Canna Connect network.